Everybody has their own steak video. Today I'm going to show you how I make steak. I'm going to be cooking this beautiful ribeye, and I'm going to be using a coffee rub for the seasoning at the end. To season the ribeye, I'm going to season with kosher salt only, and then towards the end, once the steak is almost done, I'm going to be using a coffee rub. Now, this coffee rub I made with just some regular store-bought steak seasoning and some coffee grounds mixed together. Make sure it's steak seasoning, not just regular seasonal. And when you mix it, mix 2 tablespoons of steak seasoning to 1 tablespoon of coffee grounds. Okay? And you can see how that looks. That's going to be really good. So, here we go. The best thing that I found to cook a steak in is a cast iron skillet. Today I'm going to be using this large 12-inch skillet, and this is actually the first piece of cast iron that I ever owned. I've got this skillet heating over high heat, and we want to get this skillet blazing hot so that we get a good sear on our steak. There's a million ways to cook a steak. What I'm going to demonstrate today is what I call the constant flip method. It's a method of flipping your steak about every 30 seconds so that the steak browns evenly on both sides, cooking evenly from both sides as well. I've already seasoned this a little bit with kosher salt, but I'm going to season this a little bit more with a little more salt. The important thing about seasoning a steak is use salt only when you cook the steak, and once the steak is almost done, apply your rub. The reasoning you want to do this is because if you apply the rub at the beginning, all it's going to do is burn, and you're going to end up with just a black steak. So we're going to just season right now with kosher salt, and we're going to use a good amount. Some of it is going to come off in the pan, and yes, the rub does have some salt in it, but not enough to really make a difference. So we've got that good and seasoned, and now we're going to add 2 tablespoons of vegetable oil to our pan, and we're going to start cooking. All right, we're going to add about a couple tablespoons of oil to this pan. Don't need a lot. And it is going to smoke a little bit. I'm using vegetable oil. It has this high smoke point. You never want to use olive oil for high temperature cooking like this. And we are going to add our steak. And there it goes. We're going to let this go for 30 seconds, and then we're going to flip it. And here we go with our first flip. This is a big steak. And here we go with our second flip. It's doing great. Every 30 seconds, flip that steak. All right, and we're going to flip again. You can see the color on that coming right in. Beautiful. And flip. And flip. Very nice. And here we go again. Beautiful. It's starting to form a really nice crust. That's going to be really good. Beautiful color on that. Nice. Alright, the next thing we're going to do, now that it's almost done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to apply my coffee rub to this steak. Now, you're going to get a lot of smoke from this, but never fret. Just open a window and get it really good. And also, at this time, I'm going to add some butter. That's really smoky. And we're going to throw in some garlic cloves and some fresh rosemary. Alright. And while all that's cooking down, we're going to go ahead and flip this. And look at the color on that. Get your rosemary down in your butter. And now we're going to season this side as well with our rub. I'm gonna go ahead and use a generous amount. Some of it's gonna come off, that's fine. But some of it's gonna cook right onto the steak, and that's what we want. And now we don't want to do this long because we don't want that rub to burn. We just want it to just kind of get a good crust on the steak and then get it out of here. All right, it's been cooking for about 30 seconds, so we're going to flip it again. And man, look at that. Oh! That's beautiful. All right, what I am going to do, I'm going to put a little bit more rub on there to kick that flavor up a notch. And we're going to let the other side cook for its 30 seconds, and then I think we'll flip it one more time for about 15 seconds, and then we'll be done. You can see our rosemary is cooking down. It's crisping up. The garlic is cooking down. That's nice. It's going to be really good to eat with the steak. I'm going to go ahead and flip this one more time. And look at the color on that. That's beautiful. And there you have it. That's a beautiful ribeye. All right, I'm going to take some of this butter. I'm just going to kind of spoon it over the steak a little bit. A little dark because that seasoning is in there and it's getting really dark, but that's got a lot of intense flavor in it. All right, good enough, and we are going to take this out and let it rest. Okay, the steak is still resting. Just have a couple more minutes, but has a really nice dark crust on it, partly from that coffee being so dark. But it looks beautiful. Looks really good. Wonderful crust on that. Okay, here's the moment of truth. We're going to cut right down the middle and see how we did on the cook temperature on the inside. So here we go. Nice and tender. And we have a perfect medium. Perfect medium. Warm pink center. You can see that? And as you can see, the juice didn't run out on my board, so I let it rest long enough. But that's perfect. Look at that. All the juices stayed in there. It's still nice and tender. And that's a perfectly cooked steak. I hope you can see the color on that in the video. But it's just a nice warm pink center. The outside is nice and crusty. And you can just see, look how tender that is. That's what I love about ribeyes. They have that great marbling in them. And that fat just adds a lot of flavor to the steak. But that's a great steak. Great steak. So let me try a little bit. That's great. So that is how I do steak. I do the constant flip method. I used to do the method where I would put it in the oven for a little bit, but this works great. I think it almost works even better because you get a better crust on the steak. So try it out. Let me know how you like it. I saw chefs like Gordon Ramsay do this method a bunch of times, and I love it. So this is my preferred way of doing steak now. Thank you.